Hey guys, so today I wanted to have a go at Depression Quest because there's quite a lot of like controversy around it because of like Zoe Quinn, and I don't know, like I haven't read too much into it, but I wanted to play the game anyway and see what I thought of it and what it's actually like. So wish me luck. It's early on a Monday morning. You're a mid-20s human being. Well, that's true. You have a significant other named Alex. Oh, they've got the same name as me. Who you're rather fond of. That you've been seeing exclusively for the past few months. The rest of your social circle consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances, some of whom you met at your day job. I don't have a job. Not a proper one. Which is a little boring, but pays the rent. You'd like to be doing more with your life, as would your parents. I don't have any parents. But you're still in the process of figuring out what that means and how to go about it. Shall we just get into character? Like, stop. You're also dealing with motivation issues that sometimes makes dealing with these things difficult. You feel like this is probably your fault, and on bad days can feel inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy. But you're not quite sure how you can break out of it, or how other people deal with these feelings, and seem so very functional. You spend a lot of nights fixating on thinking about this, but never seem to do anything about it other than lose sleep. Okay. It's an unseasonably warm Wednesday evening. You spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so you've found your job motivation flagging more so than usual. You've been in a fog practically all day today, simply going through the motions without realising even what you've been doing half the time, and yet time seemed to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that when your boss approaches you to tell you that it's dead and you can go home early, it barely registers. As you walk home, the streets hiss from the recent rainfall. You know that your significant other will be in classes until late, another couple hours at least. You briefly consider using this I can't say that word. Solitude to catch up on that project that you've been working on haphazardly for the last few months. As soon as you think about the work that awaits you at home, you can feel the panic creeping in from the back of your brain unbidden. All you can think about is how incredibly far behind you are, and the amount of work seems nothing less than insurmountable. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing down on you like a heavy wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted and feel a strong desire to simply hide in bed. Do you? Can't order food or get a drink or do work. You are depressed. Interaction is exhausting and you are becoming more and more withdrawn. You are not currently seeing a therapist. You are not currently taking medication for depression. Sit down and try to make yourself do something. Turn on the TV, telling yourself you need a quick half hour to unwind from work. Try and watch TV, unwind. It's not a bad idea. Straight away. Netflix, yes. Just half an hour of TV, you'd tell yourself, absently grasping for the remote. You don't so much sit down on the couch as sink into it. You turn the TV and start going through your usual channel routine. Thought we were using Netflix, damn it! After a few cycles of this, you realise that you're really not doing much more than thumb calisthenics. Is that exercising your thumb? And absently killing time. You check the clock and see that over 20 minutes have already passed since you sat down. Why is my camera so dark? Don't know whether it's the light from here. Sorry. As your self-imposed time limit creeps ever nearer, you become more and more anxious. You stand up and walk to the fridge, telling yourself, I'll just make a quick sandwich and get to work after that. Can't be productive on an empty stomach, right? As you eat, you start pacing around your apartment, heading past your bedroom in the process. You stop in the doorway, as if physically unable to cross the threshold. Familiar waves of exhaustion start racking you, and you feel simultaneously tired and panicked. You close your door and head back to the couch. It's still early yet, you tell yourself. As long as I get to work in an hour, I'll have plenty of time to be productive. As you flip channels and let the CSI and Jeopardy reruns wash over you, you sink deeper into the couch, falling at once enroached upon and shielded while being quite literally swallowed up by it. As the second hour draws nearer, sure enough you find yourself getting anxious and jittery. You repeat the fridge-paced couch process a couple more times before you look at the clock and realise that several hours have passed and, not surprisingly, you've managed to get no work done. Well, I was just getting a new job, really. Like, I'm just going to turn my light on because I know what's up with the camera. My beautiful face. You crawl into bed, acutely aware of the fact that you have work in the morning and that any opportunity you had to catch up on your own creative endeavours today was squandered. You're feeling so disgusted with yourself that when Alex calls to talk to you on her way home from class, you simply say you had a really rough day at work and you're trying to rest up before your shift tomorrow. She says she understands and wishes you a good night. Oh right, I'm a lesbian. Sorry. Didn't realise that. Which is fine. Not a problem. Though you can't help but notice that she sounds slightly disappointed. Ironically, the stress of potentially upsetting your partner compounds with the stress of not having gotten anything done this evening, and the stress of having to go into work tomorrow, buzzing of anxiety in your brain melts together with your body's utter physical exhaustion, and you sink into a anxious funk. Too tired to try and work, but too anxious to fall asleep for several hours. Right. It's a mild Friday afternoon. Alex calls you from one of her classes telling you that there's going to be a really awesome birthday party tonight at her apartment that one of her roommates is throwing. You've hung out with the roommate a few times with Alex and you get along well enough but aren't particularly close. You don't have work in the morning and have nothing else in particular to do tonight. You're feeling kind of run down, but you've been fatigued most of the time lately. You mentioned that you're feeling ill because you're not sure how else to explain those feelings to someone else, and say that you weren't sure you can make it tonight. There's a second of silence over the phone, but you can swear you can hear the sound of your partner's face fall. She tries to convince you anyway. You haven't seen her this week, and she sounds pretty insistent that you come over. She even drops a few suggestively worded hints that you can stay over with them tonight after the party. What do you do? Well, let's go? Sure. You agree to go, even though you're not really feeling social. You know it's important to Alex and you'd really like to see her. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope this is the case tonight, even if it does mean dealing with usual social anxiety. So, deal with it. Like, that's a good idea, right? The time to leave rolls around and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away and there are already people hanging out on the porch. You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building and try to still your nerves. You quickly find your partner chatting away with the birthday girl, and Alex immediately lightens up when she sees you. I'm so happy you came, I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. A young man taps her on the shoulder and she turns back to you to apologise and let you know they have to do something for the party. Alex hands you a beer and plants a kiss on your cheek before going off to deal with whatever came up. As you look around, you don't see anyone else you recognise. What do you do? Well, maybe have a sip of your beer and wait for Alex to come back. As Alex leaves, you're not quite sure what to do with yourself. Standing in the middle of the room leaves you feeling kind of exposed, and you don't feel ballsy enough to randomly approach any of the groups of people clustered together talking. Okay. You head to a clear spot on the back wall and lean against it. For some reason this always feels a lot more secure. You scan the party for a familiar face of any sign of your partner and come up with nothing. Not sure what else to do and worrying that you must look creepy just standing there watching everyone, you take out your phone to busy yourself. 20 semi-tedious games of Bejeweled Bliss later. Bejeweled. Your partner returns. You spend the rest of the night with Alex, occasionally being introduced to people and nodding along with group conversations, even if you don't participate that much. At the end of the night, as you're falling asleep with your girlfriend in the crook of your arm, she thanks you again for coming. Half drunk, she confides that she thought you were going to flake out and was pleasantly surprised that you managed to come. She says it lovingly, but you're not quite sure how you feel about the statement. Okay. It's a little afternoon on a muggy Saturday. Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she doesn't see you enough, so she decided to invite herself over. As you converse, she walks around your place, and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. "So, what's going on with you lately?" she asks abruptly. Taken somewhat aback by this left fielder, you tell her you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. She gestures to the dirty dishes piled in the sink and notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Your reticence only seems to spur her on more. She presses you, asking if you're having problems at work or with Alex, and you're beginning to feel increasingly battered by her sudden well-meaning but overwhelming inquisition. Under her questions, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you've been feeling, but the truth is you're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific has happened at work or with your significant other or friends or anything like that. But all the same, you can't deny that lately you've just felt drained and so you're not really here. You wish you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. She's the kind of person who holds the opinion that the solution to any problem is to simply try harder and maintain a positive attitude, a stance that has reared its head in past conversations when you've begun to explore the subject with her. You know she's unlikely to be understanding, and you feel the energy drain out of you when you imagine what would happen if you managed to blurt out everything you were feeling. What do? Try to be honest. You attempt to tell your mother how you're feeling, despite initial misgivings that you have about doing so. Finding the right words for how you're feeling feels like trying to untangle Christmas lights, searching for the dead bulb in the cluttered mess. She watches you intently and audibly sighs before you can clearly articulate anything. Unfortunately, she reacts predictably. An attitude like that won't get you anywhere. You need to work harder at getting what you want instead of sitting around feeling sad about it. Nothing good will happen unless you make it happen. She isn't angry or spiteful as she tells you this. You try to explain that it's not a matter of that, but you can tell that you're not getting anywhere. The frustration chokes the words in your throat, and you give up on trying to push the subject further. You know she's giving you the advice that makes sense to her, and genuinely wants the best for you. However, she doesn't understand that it's not as simple as somehow deciding to be positive or work harder. It's that those things aren't viable options because of these feelings. You accept your defeat, and the conversation drifts onto other subjects. She leaves after chiding you to call her more often and take better care of yourself. You sigh heavily as you close the door behind her, spend the next few hours laying in bed staring at the ceiling. Okay.